Meadows, flowers, grasses, early grasses. Bears graze a lot. They're a grazing animal as well as going after meat and other things. You'll see them maybe up in the back corner of a field in the spring, eating those early grasses right on the edge, right on the wood line. They love edges. They feel safe there. And there's different foods available on where the two habitats come together, the field and the woods. Summer, the diet changes. It shifts. Now they've come out in the spring. They're trying to put some weight back on for what they've lost in the winter. They did so-so. They've kept going. But now in the summer, more things are coming out. You know, you got the berries, and you got some fruits maybe, and you got some sugars. So sugar is going to help them. So they start to put this carbohydrates in them. And, what are they also going to go after in your backyard? Your bird feeders and your garbage, and you know, I'm going to keep saying that because that's a big part of this program. And we're going to see that. You can't make it easy for a bear to eat off a human. They got to stay out in the woods eating this stuff. If we get them habituated to humans and they're coming into our yards and eating our food, if we're unknowingly offering them food, we're setting them up for a big failure. The bear's going to die someday, somewhere. It's going to get killed. It's going to get shot. So we got to be very careful about that. They got to keep eating this. In the fall, they'll stay with their summer foods, but now they got to put weight on. They're going to den. To get into den and survive the winter, they got to be big. They got to be heavy, especially the female, because I said a 150 average. She needs to hit that 150. So these nuts now are going to start doing well for them, because there's carbohydrates and there's fats, and you're going to start putting that into them. By the way, in the summer, these summer foods that they're eating, there's no protein in that stuff. So when they want protein, they've got to go after the foods that have the protein, and the stuff that we have is a great source of protein for the bears. See, that's another reason that they're coming in and looking for us. Your livestock, your chickens. So they start eating a lot of nuts. Pack on some pounds. They go up the trees, they'll get the nuts out of the trees. They're like beech nuts. They'll go right up after them. These are called bear nests. Bears feeding in the woods, in the trees. He's up in a tree, and they're pulling branches, breaking branches off, eating what's on the branch. They just let the branch lay there, and they just kind of pile up and build. And it makes this big pile of branches up in a tree. And you'll see it on the beaches a lot. Very noticeable in those trees. So what's in a nut that the bear is getting that's good for him? Well, look at the calories. Right? Look at that there, the protein, the fats. That's what's putting it on for him in the fall. Protein, insect larvae, ants, hornets, bees. They'll go after them. The claws, right, feeding with the claws, digging into the trees. They smell them out. People say, well, how do they find them? They smell them. They sniff them out. They can smell these things from way off. They can smell food from miles, these guys. There's something else. Great, great sense of smell. So now after they've packed on all this weight in the fall, it's going to get them through the winter. Now they're going to go to den. In the north, the bears go to den. They have to escape the cold and the lack of food. When it snows and all the food is buried over and all the stuff that's growing is no longer growing, what are you going to do? You sleep. So they go into den. Den locations can be right there under that blowdown, right in that hole left by that root ball that came out. They might scoop even. Oops. Rock overhangs, caves if they can find them. People think they all go to caves. No, they don't. Not with the number of bear we have in the state, not enough caves for them all. But they'll take it if they can find it. Brush piles, slash piles, they'll crawl in under those. If they can find something available from the humans to use, they'll do that if it gives them shelter. Some males might even lay out almost on the ground in the open and just let the snow cover them over. They might even do that. They don't sleep all winter. They'll wake up on and off. So you can actually kick a bear up in the winter if you're walking through the woods. It's possible to do that. Now the habitat, again, it's varied. There's no one habitat that works for a bear. Woods, hardwoods. Hardwoods make nuts. Meadows, pastures, wetlands. You mix them all together, you get the 3 seasons that they're going to be feeding. So because they need habitat, Fish and Game, in trying to manage a bear population, also looks at the habitats. Now for some animals, like the turkey reintroduction program, they went out and created habitat for the turkeys as they bounced them around the state, because they get to have the right one. Well, they'll try to do it with bears too. There are wildlife management areas in the state where they try to make the right habitat for animals to subside, to subsist. It's very critical to having a healthy population for proper habitat. If the bear has a proper habitat in the woods, he's not going to come into the backyards. He's not going to come near the people. We cannot have them losing their fear of people. So that's why you want to decrease this. If you can decrease this, you're going to decrease conflicts being called in the Fish and Game. If you can decrease conflicts, you're going to have less people complaining about bears. The bear is going to do better in the state of New Hampshire because Fish and Game will not have to eliminate as many bears in the state of New Hampshire. So it's all education. It's all about education. They don't look old enough.
Like baby cats.
Yeah, they don't look old enough to reproduce.
No.
The bear is a solitary animal until it comes time for mating. So, May to August, June and July specifically, they're going to mate. Could be different times. That's when they're going to come together for that. The female can get pregnant, but the egg will not implant into the uterine wall until November. It stays floating around in nowhere, just floats around. It will not implant. The reason for that, I said they have to be heavy to get through winter. I said 150 pounds for the female is important. I said that before. If the female can hit 150 pounds, nature thinks that she's got a good chance now of getting through the winter, giving birth to that. She can survive. There won't be too much draw on her body, and the young one can survive till they can come out of den in the spring, start getting a little bit of something to eat, and she's going to feed this baby all the way to August. So that's why it does not implant, because nature doesn't know until November how heavy this girl is going to be going into den. If she doesn't make her weight, she's not going to have any young. So in a bad year, a bad food year, it just reabsorbs into the body. That's the end of it. Try it again next year. about 3.5 years old for the female before she begins to breed. So 3.5 to 5.5 will go in there. The male, about 6.5. They can go younger, sure can. And the female, you get her, you know, like from 8 years old to 13 years old or something. Those are around her best years in there. So they do this breeding in the summer. It implants in November, and come January, February, this is what we get. They might have 3 in a litter, might have 1. First time usually about 1, and then 1 to 3 is normal after that, depending on how much food is available, how heavy is the female. So this baby, the eyes are closed, it's about 6 to 8 inches long, 6 to 12 ounces in weighs. It's hairless, but it's got claws. See them? It's already got those. When this baby is first born at 6 to 12 ounces, let's say January, February, so let's say the 1st of February. By March, into March, that's already up to 5 pounds. It's already up there. And it's going to come out even heavier when it comes out of den the end of March, early April. It's going to come out 6 to 8 pounds. So 1 to 3, as I said, would be the litter size. They'll come out of den 6 to 8 pounds. Now the mother has to take care of them. She's going to feed them. She's going to feed them on the milk that they were getting in den all the way to August, maybe before they weaned. So let's go back to her weight going into den in the winter. She's got to be heavy enough for her to live, for the babies to live, to make it through the spring when there's a shortage of food, and then into the summer when they start to get more food, but not the most nutritious food available. And she's got to keep feeding these things until maybe August. When she has the babies in den, now she'll stay awake. She's very alert with them, and she'll tend to them in there. They stay with her for 18 months. For 18 months, she's going to teach them everything that they know to need a bear, need to know to be a bear, a wild bear. If there's no mother in the picture, then the cubs go to Ben Killam that Doug was talking about, and he teaches them everything they know, need to know, so that at 18 months they can be released and be a wild bear. He is the surrogate bear. Managing the population, why is that important? Why can't we just let them have at it? Whatever happens, happens. The numbers go up, numbers go down, nature cycles all the time. Well, there is a big problem with that. You can't do that because New Hampshire's population grows and then you start getting conflicts with people. So population has to be managed. Public managed resource. The Pittman-Robertson Act, the Wildlife Sport Fish Restoration Act, is called the North American Model of Conservation. What that says, just plain and simple in a nutshell, is that the animals belong to the people. Unlike in Europe, when animals belong to the rich people and the royalty, the folks came here, they found the animals belonged to them. And today the animals still belong to the people. But they are managed by the government to keep them healthy and to keep conflicts out. But we own them. So because we own them, we're responsible to take care of them, but we also get a lot of input. And you can see this meeting going on here with the commissioners, and the people are in there to voice their opinion on something. This is one state department that listens to the people. Fish and Game does. They take all the public input, they listen, and they act on it. but they also have the input from the biologists too. You know, biologists are the experts on this, they're the scientists. So you mix it all together, they come up with a 10-year plan. Right here, new game management plan for 2016 to 2025. And there's the different animals that they're covering in there. Yeah, they keep going on a 10-year plan. When it runs out, they make a new one. They tweak it as they go. So it's the public now that's going to decide on how the bears are going to be managed in the state of New Hampshire, huh? All right. So before, we had a goal of 5,200. Now the last plan came out, and they said, well, we've got to bring it down to 4,800. Why? Because the public has got more complaints about bears. Why is that? Population grew. Population grew, habitat went away. When habitat goes away, bears show up in yards. They show up in houses, and you get complaints. So, as it says on the bottom, you're going to come down from 5,200, and the new goal is going to be 4,800. If you look at that, and you see that the White Mountains in central New Hampshire, where you think is great bear habitat up there, they want to decrease the population. Why is that? You know, southeast of New Hampshire, they don't want to decrease, really. More people are moving in up there. There is already a big number of bear up there, and they're growing. More people are moving in. So when Fish and Game takes the public input and takes all the complaints, they've decided that they need to lower the number of bears in New Hampshire, but the White Mountains and the Lakes region especially, because you just can't keep having conflicts with people. You can't have these things running around on the road by car either. It's dangerous to people. People can get killed. Why are they running on the roads? Well, maybe because we've broken up the arrangement of their habitat. The food, water, shelter don't have a good arrangement anymore. And a bear has to cross interstate highway to get from one thing to another. Well, that's bad. You can't pocket animals like that. Hunting is a population control. The bear population was up around 6,100 or something going into last season, last fall. 898 bear were killed during that season. That is a record number of bear for a bear season in New Hampshire. So you can see how important that is to keeping the bear numbers down, because you can't go out there and give birth control to these animals. You got to do it some other way. And if you look at the numbers in more recent years, you can see that the take has been going up. Well, that goes up because the number of animals are higher. Also, it's driven by food availability. If you have a very poor feed year in the woods, the animals the bear are going to come out and they're looking for food. So they're more accessible. They're not as elusive as they ought to be. So these numbers are affected by a lot of things. And actually, if you go back to this, look at blue, green, red. Hunting over bait, still hunting, and hunting with dogs. Still hunting is when you walk through the woods and you try to find a bear. That's not going to work so well. Over bait, we got the most of them taken. That's controversial, but you know what? If you didn't have that number taken over bait, you'd have an overpopulation of bear out there. You've got to keep the numbers down. So we want to manage conflicts, because we can't have conflicts happening. And somebody set themselves up here because they didn't take it down when they should have. Conflicts, 31% of all the complaints into Fish and Game are about bear. Wow. You got a whole lot more raccoons in the state of New Hampshire than you got bear. How come that's such a small number of complaints? People don't fear raccoons, they understand more about them, they fear bear because, remember, we thought earlier that the bear weighed 500 pounds. So now we know the bear is a smaller animal. The bear will run from us every chance it gets. You don't need to fear those things so much. They're really not coming into the yards to eat your children. But because the people don't understand, they call in the complaints. And look at this, property and safety. Wow, look at, right there. Look at the number of complaints. Property and safety. It means that I saw a bear in my yard, I got scared, I called Fish and Game, and I complained and said, something needs to get done, and it goes down as a conflict. It goes down as a call. Well, so what? So you saw a bear. You didn't understand, so you called it in. And it inflates these numbers. But there is a reason for some of these spikes, and that's food availability in the woods. When food is not available, they're going to come out and they're going to be seen more around the human element. Honest to goodness complaints down here, the agricultural complaints in the green, are quite small. Maybe there's people there that understand the animal more, for one thing. Now, what do you think some of the leading causes are? Who causes the conflicts, the bear or me? Who causes the conflict? The bear doesn't cause the conflict. I make the conflict. In most cases, I make the conflict. We take away the habitat. We take away the forest they need. We're losing 17,500 acres a year. You say, well, that's not a terrible amount. Well, you know what? This isn't a huge state either. We got a lot of forest out there, but we're going to lose it because we keep building. The more we take away the habitat, the more the bear are going to show up in the yards. And we build right into their habitat. Well, you might see a bear. Please don't pick up the phone and call it in. You left up the bird feeders when you shouldn't have, huh? April 1st to December 1st, if you live in the bear territory, if you're likely to have bears in the yard, get them down. If you leave them up there, you're asking for a problem, but you're also making a problem for the bear. You're teaching the bear easy food, he's going to come for it, and somewhere he's going to get hurt doing this. He's going to get shot. Why do they go to a bird feeder? Well, it's easy pickings. Look, sunflower seeds. They're not the highest on there, but look how high they are. It's a great food. Sure, they're going to go after that. And in the summer, they can get the sunflower seed. It's going to give them the protein that they can't get in their regular summer food. So they'll go take it. Yep, they love to feed the backyards. Garbage, they love garbage. Every one of these that I do, I say that's the bear's 5-star restaurant.
Yeah.
Everything he wants, it's in there. It's in that dumpster. They gotta be more secure. You can't have those sort of lids. Well, now we have, somebody needs to be educated here. I won't say,
Self-explain.
but it is illegal. In the state of New Hampshire, you can't do that. That's illegal. And what it is doing is somebody has already done it, and he's just adding to it, is taking away the fear of humans. That animal ought to fear him. He should be running from him. If he doesn't, if he's going to come feed out of his hand, he's going to wind up dead somewhere. Can't be doing that.
Dennis,
Yeah.
can you go back to that slide?
This one?
One thing, if you convince a bear to be, friendly, that bear can't be trusted. If you look at the hackles on the back of that bear's neck, he is not a happy bear. He
He's taking the food, but he's not sure.
That's right, he's taking the food, but he could turn on that guy, and the guy deserves it, really.
Yep.
In a fraction of a second, that bear could be on him. And that's what happens when you try to get them involved in human food and think it's cute to be able to get up close to them.
Yep.
That bear is ready to go.
Yeah, you want a good picture of the bear, the tame bears, you go to Clark's Bears, yeah. Don't be doing this. And this is a real picture, by the way, from Berlin. This was taken in Berlin, New Hampshire. So the bird feeders, you know, we bring them in, but look, not only is this one bear eating the food and being habituated to go to that point, that food source right there in that yard, but there are two more learning it. Don't think they're going to forget, because they don't. They get great memories. So she's teaching them for 18 months everything they need to do to survive. Well, this is part of it. This is not supposed to be part of their survival. This isn't nature. This is humans setting up the bear for a problem, for a big failure. And when they eat artificially, that messes with the physiology. And when the bear gets, when she mates, she gets pregnant, and she weighs 250 pounds, maybe 100 more than what she would normally have weighed, nature says, hey, you're doing pretty good here, girl. Here's 4. We'll give you 4 this year. Must be a lot of food out there. You're doing well. No, she's going to have 4 babies, but where are they going to eat? That food is not out there. It's not in those woods. Now, if she does it, and this one does it, that one does it, that one does it, what is all of a sudden, what's happened to this habitat that they're in? They're spilling out. A human-caused problem. If you can abate conflict, then people can live more comfortably with bears. And it makes management a lot easier. No, I said they get shot. Bear got shot. Bear wasn't afraid of humans anymore. It could have been feeding around that house, it could have been eating dog food outside, it could have been eating drippings from a barbecue grill, it could have been eating anything around there. They might have been intentionally feeding it, thinking it was cute, keeping the garbage in secured. Hey, watch him eat out of the garbage can. Well, one day it smelled food in the house, and it came in the house and it got shot and killed. It's not a bear's fault. Somebody caused that. A bear doesn't naturally do this. With Fish and Wildlife Services, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, New Hampshire Fish and Game has a very unique relationship right now. They're partnered with them for these studies for abatement, conflict abatement, and that is good for us because we're a small state. We don't have a lot of resources. We don't have a lot of money. We got minimal amount from Wildlife Sport Fish Restoration, Doug said. Bottom, we got bottom. 7,700,000 we got. Doesn't go far with a big budget. So it's great to have Fish and Wildlife Services on our side, as well as a lot of support from UNH. So we're going to study this. We're going to come up with some strategies. We're going to educate. We're going to give you some materials to use. We'll give you some assistance. We'll give you some educational materials, literature, and posters, all available. Fish and Game Headquarters in Concord, free of charge. Won't cost you a penny. Happy to give it to you. A method of abating conflict is self-help. That goes a long way, self-help. Take the bird feeders down. I'm telling you, they love this stuff. You see what they get out of sunflower seeds. Unsecured garbage. Why? Why is that? Some towns have laws now that you cannot do this. Bethlehem is one of them. You cannot do this, or you're going to get cited for it. Lincoln is another one. You'll get cited for doing that. You'll get educated the first time, but if you just refuse, you are unintentionally feeding the animal. It's still feeding the animal. It's still making a problem, and it could make a problem for somebody else also with that bear. you're gonna get cited for it. Get some steel lids on them. Make them lock. Make them so the bears can't open them. Gotta have long-term solutions, because if we don't have long-term solutions, the bear numbers are gonna have to keep going down, because there'll be more complaints coming in. And remember, the public has the input. The public owns the animals. If the public says, Fish and Game, we want you to only have this many bear in the state of New Hampshire, and we're gonna just go build our houses everywhere. Fish and Game doesn't have much choice but to lower the numbers. We don't necessarily need to bring these numbers way down. If you use electric fencing, that's a great abatement. And if you're into beekeeping right here, you'd be very well advised to use electric fencing as well as for chickens. Put electric fencing around that, because if you don't, the bear's gonna come and get them. They love these. Look how the complaints have risen up to 2016 on bears going after chickens. Well, more people are raising chickens now. People are getting back into this stuff. They're getting back in touch with nature. Bears love it. They say, great, thank you. We've been waiting for that. Right there, dead bear. Too many instances of that happening, and it's becoming more common. People think that's how you gotta take care of it, and it's not how you gotta take care of it. That's last resort. It should only happen in a few cases. There are other options. We should be using them. When a cub gets orphaned, what happens? Well, if people can't get to it to try to help it, they could die in the woods. They say, yeah, we got 6,000 bears, so what? Oh yeah, we got 6,000 bears, but why lose them if we don't need to? So if people can get to this animal, it's going to go to Ben kill him. He's the guy that's going to take care of it. Well, recently he was overwhelmed with bears. He didn't know where to turn. It costs money also to run that operation. Trap and relocate. Most people think this is a good idea. This is a good fix. This is about the worst fix, because it is not a fix. It doesn't solve anything. It's a feel-good. The bear's accustomed to being around people. You take it, put it out in the woods. Next hunting season, it's going to be dead anyway, probably, because it's not as elusive. It's going to show up somewhere and get shot. Bear can try to come back to where he came from. If you don't take him real far, he can get hurt on the way back or cause a problem on the way back. He was here because there was food here. There was good habitat. There was something here for him. When he goes away, something else moves in and says, good, thanks. You opened up a spot for me. Trap and relocate is a feel-good fix, and it's also dangerous to the animal. Depending on how you do it, how you have to do it, it can be very dangerous to an animal. Once you have eliminated food sources, you can try running them off, scaring them off. This hazing that they're talking about here, hazing tools. It's been tried in the past, and if the food source is there, bear comes right back in. If it's gone, if there definitely is nothing there for them, now you can run them off and they'll probably stay gone. Fish and Game will come help you set up a fence. They'll show you how it works. They'll prove to you electric fence works. They might give you a loaner. Then they come back and get it. You're on your own, go buy it. You're very well advised to buy electric fencing if you've got some small livestock and if you've got bees. The bear research in the state of New Hampshire has been going on for years, paid for by that restoration money from the federal government, put in by the sportsmen. The sportsmen are paying for all this research to keep these populations healthy and ultimately keep conflicts down too with the people. There have been a lot of things tried. some of what we have tried. Okay, up here we're looking at, this one particular study was just to figure out how ranges are set up. Female has this much range, male has, well, female 6 to 8 square miles, the male can be 10 times bigger in home range. When female kicks the young loose at the end of 18 months, the female bears can stay closer, the male has got to be gone, out completely. Talking about bear density, all right, how many do we have per square mile in certain areas? Genetic tagging was DNA study at UNH. Radio collars. This one was those hazing tools I talked about, and dogs. They chased them with hounds as well. So those were the two methods they talked about there. Ordinances, rules, laws, you're going to get cited. They found that worked very well. And translocation, right? Relocation. Terrible idea. Cannot do it. Dangerous to the animals. So if we do our part, if we're responsible, we don't encourage these animals in, we keep conflicts from happening. And that also takes town planners and all these people too, you know, that allow all the developments in and stuff. They gotta think about this. They gotta think about, at least they should think about the wildlife. And when they break up habitat and they start pocketing animals, they should think about the problems that could arise for the town. See, so there's a lot involved, and it's on many shoulders. And it's all paid for, all the studies and stuff, it's all paid for by this wildlife restoration program. You know, and again, that's the sportsman. That's a thing that started in 1937, and to this date, there have been billions and billions and billions of dollars paid out toward bringing back wildlife, managing wildlife, helping the public to enjoy wildlife. So that's it. Thank you. And if you have any questions, throw them up here, and we'll see if we can answer them for you.
Yes, sir.
When the female is in den and they give birth, do they wake up?
Yes,
Yeah.
after they have to give birth, they take care of the young.
She'll stay awake, and she'll feed that baby, and she'll protect it and take care of it.
So how much weight does the female lose during that compared to one who doesn't
Nice
give
and
birth?
slow.
40% of their weight.
Yeah, easily 25% of the weight, easily,
Yeah.
if not more. In den, one method of survival in den is heartbeat and respiration goes down. Heartbeat will get cut in half, respiration get cut in half, body temperature can drop 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is how the animal typically gets through den. But when she wakes up, and she's gonna start taking care of the babies now, she's not sleeping anymore. So now she's drawing more off her body.
Okay.
Hi, Bill, yes?
Is this such a thing as
Yes, I know
a
this story.
bear-proof dumpster?
Yeah.
Bear-proof dumpster, yeah, there is.
I saw the big green one with the pipes on it here.
Yeah,
I actually sat one night with some other people at a camp in Albany and saw 3 full-grown bears rip one of those dumpsters to pieces.
take that, maybe it was made in China.
That's
Good answer.
Take that back to the manufacturer. No, there are some, if you look in the national parks, we saw some stuff in the national parks, these bear-proof trash containers. I couldn't figure out how to get the trash in there.
That's one thing that the public can do, is if you have the restaurants in your area, you see that they've got dumpsters that aren't bear-proof, tell the owner, spend a few dollars, make it bear-proof. A lot of your remote markets and some of the small towns will have a dumpster in the back, and of course, they're all selling meats and every other type of vegetable. They dump it in the dumpster, and then the bear is coming, it's inviting them for lunch.
Those people cause that problem.
That's what she's saying, don't kill them.
Yeah.
So if you do see a bear in a non-conflict situation, should it be reported in some way or just leave it alone?
Just ignore it. I mean,
The people cause the problem. and-
You know, that's a lot of those complaints that you saw on there. People saw this and they call it in as a complaint. When is the last time you heard of a person being attacked by a black man? In a long time. It just doesn't happen. They're afraid of us. They're not coming after us. They just need to learn to tolerate them. They're here in your yard because you did something wrong that drew them in. That's the
The
problem.
other part of your paper.
Yes,
We have a little over 4 acres, but in the woods.
sure.
And this summer, I don't know how big, but a good sized bear. I mean, I love, but we have nothing. We have no bird feeders, no garden, nothing.
Right.
They were just in the woods,
Yeah.
came up pretty close.
Right.
Then I saw one that was a lot smaller, and how big would a baby get at 7 months?
7 months old, probably gonna be 25 pounds, maybe.
Okay, so it must have been older than that, because we had a mother and a cub just coming down over the hill.
Probably a yearling cub. It's probably a cub with her from it that was born a year ago.
Okay. Yeah, because I knew they stayed with the mom for 18 months, but it's just different. And again, we have nothing out. They're just in the woods. The last one was eating, was it a tree?
Oh, they were insects from a tree.
I
They
mean,
ripped
we
the
ju- we
tree
just-
trunk apart.
We just watched them, and it was like the most fascinating thing, and I just loved them.
Well, that's what they should be doing.
Right,
That's where they're
exactly.
going, is eating the larvae of the ants or
Right, and
the
that's all,
wasps.
and
or
when we
bees.
see them from our mat, we just watch, and that's what they're doing, but we don't,
They're being bears.
Right, exactly. And it
And
would-
when we attract them with either dog food or cat food or all of those things that we're careless with, we're creating a problem. And we're teaching them to be not real bears.
Absolutely.
And they say it over in fishing game, a fed bear will be a dead bear.
Oh, right.
Somebody's gonna kill it. Because, and a lot of times when we do these, someone will get up and say, well, I feed the bears at my house, I love them. Well, you don't love them if you're feeding them,
No.
because you might like the bear and you want the bear to come in your yard so you can watch him. The next door neighbor may not be so tolerant, and they may have children, and he doesn't want the bear. So he shoots it, and he's perfectly entitled to do so. If you're afraid, you can kill it.
Or you're feeding the bear, and when it loses that fear enough, and it enters somebody's house,
Right, exactly.
you're creating a very dangerous situation there.
Well, it's funny, this year we had a lot of wildlife, and we had a newborn fawn just make a little bed in high grass just outside our windows on
Yep.
the porch.
Yep,
And we're watching it, and I thought, okay, don't touch it, don't feed it,
Oh,
don't do
yeah,
anything, right? And then it said after 20, if the mother hasn't appeared within 24 hours, call you guys. And it was about 22, and all of a sudden, this little baby got up, and right down further into our woods was the mother. So, I mean, we've had
Yep.
some fascinating
Yeah.
sightings this
you know
summer.
why they're doing that?
The mother's feeding and keeping the baby safe.
Right, and you know why she keeps it separate?
The baby can't defend itself, is that correct?
Because the mother has scent.
Right, okay.
The baby bear does not have scent. I mean, a
The
deer.
fawn, okay,
The baby deer does not have scent.
okay.
So it lays there, and there's no scent, and it's all camouflaged with its spots,
Right,
highlights and shades.
okay,
So when it comes feeding time, if she doesn't come to it, she'll call it to her.
right.
And she'll do that maybe a couple times a day, but she leaves it alone for its own protection.
Right.
And the worst thing that we can do is touch it and handle it, because now it has scent on it, and she might leave it alone after that.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
a
no, we
terrible thing to do, is to touch that.
Right, no, and we did, we just watched it, and then it got very dark, and I just looked at it, and I went, I know you're gonna be safe, because you're very camouflaged, and it
Yeah.
was there in the morning.
Yeah,
Baby, but the mother came later. So-
that's great to see.
Oh, it was amazing, totally
Yeah.
amazing.
Great to watch wildlife.
It is, and that's what and the bear's coming, and the fawn came back a couple weeks later. It had to be the same one, because it went to the same bed.
Yeah,
Humans just have to learn to let wildlife be wildlife.
That's right, absolutely, and just observe
They
it.
won't bother us.
Right.
That's it.
we've got handouts up back too. Go through them and take them, whatever you want, take a lot of them, so we don't have to keep carrying them around.
Yes, sir.
In the pie chart that you had about nuisance calls, you had bears and raccoons and bats and all that kind of stuff. I noticed there was a 4% other category. Any idea what
rats, mice, bats.
Bats were called out separately.
All kinds of animals get called in up there, all kinds.
I think you're going the wrong way.
No, it was very early on.
No, all right, go back the other way.
That was it, no, the real? Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You'd have to write down all those names and then go against what isn't there.
Not bad.
Mice there, mice scare people.
What would happen if you had in conflict with other people?
Pardon?
What happens if you had in conflict with other people? That would be
But you'd have to have another chart.
bigger chart.
well, you have to be more careful about handling people. You can't get away with what you do with animals.
Anything else?
Well, okay, I'll have one more. There's been a lot of different things say about what you should do if you do come across a bear when you're out hiking or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why some of that literature that we print is so important, that people will take the time to look at it right here. Garbage kills bears, tells you what happened. Then right down here, if you encounter a bear, remain standing, maintain non-threatening eye contact with it, back away slowly, speaking in a soft, conditioned voice, the whisper to it, I love you. Don't run or climb trees, and report the bear encounters to your camp management. These are to be posted in all of the camping areas around the state. And we provide all of this literature just to hopefully educate the public on what they need to do when they encounter bears. And you'll find in most literature, it comes down to you'll encounter them because you made the mistake.
Yeah, when you go into the parks and stuff too, they'll always have that stuff posted, where you can read it right there, because it is such a potential.
The only time you're gonna really have a problem, and it probably won't be a problem, is if you get between her and the kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then, you gotta be careful, and again, you gotta back away slowly, don't threaten her, and just leave her alone. But outside of that, the bear's not gonna pay any attention. They don't want any part of it. It's just protection of young, and that will happen if you get between a mother partridge and a little one. She'll fly, it doesn't matter. Wildlife will protect their young.
Go near a turkey nest and see what mother turkey will do to you.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Or be out kayaking and accidentally come up on a family of Canadian geese without realizing.
Oh, geese are
Oh, they're
horrible.
mean.
And one of them actually was beating the boat with its wing.
Yeah.
It's kind of amusing.
They're better than watchdogs.
They probably were molting at that time too, and can't fly, so they wind up doing all they can to scare you and get you away from young. Anybody else? All right, well, thanks
coming-
again. We
Are
do
you
have
coming back to Canterbury?
photos of
Are
all
you
of
coming
the-
back to Canterbury?